Welcome, welcome in. We are going live today. It's Saturday. Drop your name in the comments. Tell me where you're from. Are you on the West Coast? Are you on the East Coast? I'm on the West Coast, but I operate on East Coast time. Where are all you guys from? Today, I decided to go live because we're going to have a conversation about a time in my life. It was one of the hardest seasons that I ever went through. And if you're a woman who's ever felt overwhelmed or drained, like everything around you is just becoming a little bit out of your control and you're struggling with how to get grounded, well, guess what? I've been there. This is exactly for you. So I got all my notes here, guys, because I don't want to miss anything. I want to stay on track and make sure we're covering all of the essential topics, because tonight I want to talk about Marcus Aurelius and some of the teachings that really impacted my life. And if you think we're going to get super deep and philosophical, not today. We are not. This is just real talk about how the teachings of this Roman emperor actually helped this woman who was completely broken, and just really helped pull myself back together, because years ago, this was a completely different woman. So I'm very excited to kind of share with you what was impactful for me. So if anything comes to mind that resonates with you, just go ahead and drop it in the comments. Who was Marcus Aurelius, right? Well, he was a Roman emperor and he wrote Meditations. So Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And this book was never meant to be published. Excuse me. It was literally just his personal journal, personal thoughts that he wrote to himself on how to handle stress, difficult times, how to handle different emotions, and really staying disciplined when life was hard at that time. Because you got to remember, guys, he was dealing with like plagues and war and economic collapse, betrayal, family betrayal, right? All the deep stuff. He was writing through all of this, trying to figure out how to stay grounded. Does that sound familiar? Kind of a lot of things that we're going on right now, right? Especially like betrayal, family things. That's a lot that's impactful to a lot of people's lives. So I found Marcus Aurelius through Tony Robbins, actually. Tony Robbins came about when I was dealing with the domestic violence situation, and during that time was feeling very shameful about what was going on, not talking about it publicly, which caused me to feel lost. And finding Tony Robbins' teachings really reminded me that you do have power, you do have control over your life. You just have to control your perspective, your outcomes. And in the midst of all of that chaos, I started to come out of this by realizing, yes, I had control over my mindset and over my choices, good or bad, right? Anything bad that was happening to me was a result of the choices that I had been making. Same goes for positive. Before we really get into it, I just really want to quickly define what his philosophical teaching is, because there is a big misconception about it. Stoicism, which is really what he was kind of practicing around, is built around just the idea of focusing on what you can control. Okay, so you can control your mindset, your actions, you can control your response, you can control your boundaries, what you accept. This is not about suppressing, okay? Suppressing your emotions, because when you suppress your emotions, eventually they're going to come out, eventually. So this is about taking control, because you don't want to pretend like your problems don't exist. Problems do exist. Everybody has problems. But it's all about, how do you respond to it? Are you going to let the anger take over, emotions take over? Are you going to give up? It just depends on how you respond to it. And that's pretty much it. And so I'm going to tell you how this actually showed up in my real life. And you can drop a yes in the comments if you've ever been any type of season like this, or if you've ever felt somewhat powerful or powerless in some of your relationships too. So, all right, let's talk about the 7 things that I took away from some of his teachings. Number 1, you only want to focus on what is essential. Marcus Aurelius is very ruthless about this, okay? He believed that you really have to filter out what is not essential. If it's not moving you forward toward your ultimate goal, does it really matter? Okay, because your energy is really important. You need to be putting it in places that are going to move the needle. And when I started to apply this in my own life, Actually, I didn't even realize it until I joined this accelerator. It's called Fourth Wave, and it was for female entrepreneurs, women in business. And I had a system shut down, right? So I couldn't take any more payments. The payment authorizer shut down. And during that time, I thought it was like the end all be all. I'm like freaking out. I can't get this up and running. It took me like a week and all of this, right? And one of my mentors actually was telling me that she had me slow down and think about limiting beliefs, right? I had to start and think about what kind of work was I focusing on that led to this situation. I hadn't been staying on top of the policies. I hadn't been staying on top of making all of the admin stuff on the back end to make sure everything was still aligned, right? I was just doing like other busy work. So what happened when this whole system shut down? It was actually a blessing in disguise, which I figured out 2 weeks later. But it allowed me to step back and go through my operating, procedures and really analyze how to move forward. I developed a system and a plan that I've never had a situation since. God fear, thank God. What work are you focusing on? Are you just focusing on work that, hey, I've got hours that I'm accumulating, and so it feels like I'm getting things done? Or are you actually seeing results coming from the work that you've put into it? So make sure you're not just doing work that's keeping you busy. You want to do work that's actually building you up. That shift alone, and sometimes it takes just having that sit down, that uncomfortable conversation about, hey, what have I been doing that led up to this point that's actually going to change and move the game? Number 2 is you got to become unbothered. And unbothered doesn't mean, again, that you have no emotions, right? You don't want to be just like some cold-hearted bitch, right? You want to be very clear about your boundaries. And even if people call you difficult, oh well. There are going to be people around you that suck. Okay, they're going to be jealous. They might even betray you, drain your energy. They might be manipulative towards you. This could be family. Family will tend to, and even really close friends, if you share things, they might use those vulnerabilities against you. People will suck, right? They're going to lie to you. Hey, you've got to learn that that's just the way of the world. But you cannot let those people or those interactions change you. Okay, you know the phrase like, oh, they're so jaded. They hate everybody now because of the past experiences that they've been through. You cannot take on their energy, especially if it's so negative like that, right? The goal is to be unbothered in the sense that it's not going to affect you moving forward, right? Your identity doesn't change. Your goals don't change. You still know what you need to do. And I forget who said this. I'll think of it, but I'll give him credit at a later time. But he said, just be like a gray rock. When people try to, bait you or pull you into things, you just want to be like, You're very uninterested in being dragged into the drama because you have other shit that you need to focus on. You feel me? So you're not interested in the drama. You got other things to work on. Let me know in the comments if you've ever felt like that before. Now, number 3. Let's talk about your anxieties, okay? Because anxieties, sometimes we tend to future fuck ourselves, okay? I don't know if I can say that on here, but we tend to future whatever ourselves, you know what I mean? And this one hits hard, okay? Because Marcus Aurelius talked about how we can torture ourselves by just projecting the worst possible outcome, how we tend to just go to extremes that really haven't even happened yet. And then you just start to get in your head and play it back over and over and over again. But what you really need to do is bring yourself back to the present moment. The present moment, what you do right here, right now, that is where your real power is, because that's what you can control. It's not the what ifs. It's not the worst case scenario. It's not even sitting and dwelling in the past. It's about the right here, right now. So focus on the present. This is one of the biggest game changers that's had for me, because, especially as mothers, right? You tend to think, oh, well, my kid is 6. Oh my gosh, what if it's going to be, they might pass away. No. Let's just focus on the right here, the right now, and let's get through it, okay? Number 4, you can be a good person. This one's gold. This one's gold, y'all. You can be a good person. You can think you're a good person, and you can still be hurting other people. This one was personal for me, and I had to be honest about it. There was a time where I thought I was truly being a good person. I think I'm a good person deep down, but When you're lost, sometimes you act in ways that don't align with your true character, and you tend to hurt other people. In the way that I was showing up and speaking to people, speaking to my friends, speaking to certain family, I actually lost one of my really good friendships that I had for almost 20 years. One of the biggest lessons that I learned in my life. You cannot just talk to people in a negative way. You shouldn't. It's a terrible thing to do. Think about yourself. If somebody is expressing, you can set a boundary with other people, but if somebody's setting a boundary with you, and this is somebody that you respect and you love, well, guess what? Listen to them. Make the change, especially if it's only going to make you a better person, right? Sometimes we don't see what we're doing, how it's affecting other people. This lesson made me realize, you know what? Hey, lesson learned, Dominique. You better get yourself acting right. You want to treat people how you want to be. And you want to be proud of yourself. Stop thinking that you're always just this perfect person. You know, everybody has things that they need to work on. So sit down with yourself and analyze what that could be. Number 5, accept reality. Accept reality and what's going on. I don't know what's happening in 2026, but a lot of people are living in this delusional world. Accept what's real in your life and then respond in that situation. When things go wrong, we tend to resist it, fight it, act like it never happened, or you fall apart, completely fall apart on it. And trust me, I've done all of that. I've been there. But Marcus Aurelius, right, he taught that when you accept what's in front of you first, you have to accept what's in front of you first, not because we're saying that it's okay. That's not what it is. But if you don't accept that reality is what's happening to you, then you're just going to stay stuck. If you just make excuses for all of the things that you're doing, if you don't acknowledge that what you're doing is hurting other people, if you don't make any changes with your work or starting your business, whatever that is, then you're just going to stay stuck because you're not acknowledging what's actually really happening in your life. So you don't want to be living in this limbo state, okay? You want to make sure that you're moving forward because your energy, you want to protect your energy and move forward. Number 6, the biggest one that I learned, quite honestly, is self-discipline. So motivation is great. Like I was saying earlier, I love motivation. It's actually what kind of started me on this journey many years ago, finding Tony Robbins and kind of watching these motivational videos, right? And then digging deeper into other topics and philosophies and teachings and such, right? But motivation was the first thing that got me going. Motivation, you have to understand, is a feeling, right? It's fleeting. It's going to go away. It feels good in the morning, especially if you're going through something, or let's say you want to get pumped up. You want to get that extra oomph going. That's good. But there are going to be days where it is going to suck. You're going to be like, I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't want to talk to this person. I just want to put my jammies on and do absolutely nothing. I get that. But those are the days that you need to get your ass up out of bed. You need to get up. You need to stay consistent, and you just have to work through it. Now, you don't need to power 8, 10, 12-hour days every day. But you need to devote a little bit of work every day to what you're trying to accomplish. And that comes through being disciplined. That comes through being clear on your why, on what you're trying to accomplish. Who are you doing it for? What is the very purpose that you're doing it for? When you know exactly what you want, what you're working for, then it becomes 10 times easier on the days where you really don't feel like it. You ever heard of setting a New Year's resolution, right? We get all pumped up to set the resolution, and then a month later, we're not really sticking to it. So you have to have discipline. You have to have structure underneath that motivation that's kicking you off. There's no judgment here, guys. Trust me, I told you, I've been there, right? It's just a reframe of, okay, I understand what motivation is. And now I understand I need to have this underlying discipline to push myself through to actually get this done. And that comes through other tools. What other tools? You could do things like time management tools. There's apps like Todoist that will help you, where you could set a calendar digitally, set reminders for yourself, throughout the day. Be disciplined, set your alarm clock, wake up, make your bed. It's little things like that that help you, stick to a routine. So do little things like making your bed in the morning, picking up your clothes, having your breakfast, maybe sitting outside with your coffee in the morning, but Have a specific routine, write down your goals, and actually do activities. Remember, we're not doing busy work. We're focusing on activities that are actually going to move us towards a goal. The last one, number 7, is about your time. Okay. Time is truly our most valuable resource. I think that a lot of us, myself included, used to think that, oh, I can do it later. I have all this time in the world, but we don't. Time is finite. And Don DePani, who's like this businessman turned monk, Don DePani said, time is finite. Babies are born and then they die. Mothers live and then might die in childbirth. Women, men will live to 100 or 40 or 30. Kids will go, they'll live to 20. We don't know when, how long or short it is. We only know that one day it's going to end. So knowing that one day it's going to end, what are you going to do with the time that you have right now? That was so powerful for me when I first heard that. Because again, back to the top, when we talked about future effing yourself, it's along the same lines. You're not going to future F yourself when you learn to appreciate the moment that you have right now. Appreciating the moment that you have, taking advantage of it. I know that days are going to be hard. Trust me. There are going to be days where you're burnt. You're just like, how do I even get through this? That's where you find something that will give you just a little bit of joy. Is it going to be taking a bath? Is it going to be going for a walk, being by yourself? You have to do something, especially if you have kids. Let's just say it, right? We can't always be pulled in every single direction. You better go up in that bathroom and find 5 minutes to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Very important that you understand that we don't have an infinite amount of time. We only know that time is going to end. So let's appreciate the moment that we have now and take risks. If you have dreams, goals that you're trying to accomplish, meaning, and that could be anything. That could be business. Maybe it's in your relationship. Maybe you want to set a boundary with somebody. This is your life. Do it. Because after you make the decision and you face that fear that you're avoiding, whatever it is, you're going to feel so much more confident. And then the more you start to practice those things, I want you to track it. I want you to measure it. And you could do that through your journal or your planner or whatever. You start to track it and you go back and you see, wow, the progress that you have made over 30, 60, 90 days. That is how you start to build a much more confident identity. Not reacting to everybody, every situation. You're not living in somebody else's box. You found your true peace. You don't need to be available to everyone. Your time is precious. So don't give up on the things you want to do. So what do you want you to take away from that today? Well, you can't control everything. You can't control the hard seasons, the betrayal. If you lose that job, you can't control that hurt or whatever chaos shows up into your life. If you get sick, you can't control that. You can only control your response, how you react to it, how you deal with it. Marcus Aurelius, he didn't have an easy life. Yeah, he was an emperor. I mean, he had every reason to fall apart. He had all kinds of, if you dig into his story, family betrayal and all kinds of things. But he showed up with discipline, integrity, and clarity, peace of mind. That peace of mind, that clarity comes from taking time to yourself, sitting down with yourself and analyzing what you want out of life. What's your purpose? Working towards that. You want to do that when life is calm. Do it when it gets a little bit chaotic so that you know how to deal with those situations when they come up, when the mess is happening. If you are a woman who aligns with this, if this resonates with you, and if you're looking for some real discipline, peace, and just a change of habits, well, then you're in the right place. Because I've been there and I'm here every single week, or you can hop on over to YouTube and catch some of the free lessons I have over there. Ultimately, this is a space for you to see that you do have opportunities. You can be the woman that you want to be. All right, see you next time.